In the back of the book segment tonight, politics and pro sports. Athletes like Colin Kaepernick are becoming the center of political storms. But former NFL star Donté Stallworth drew attention this week after arguing that it's not a bad thing.
I've always been an advocate for players to speak out on social and political issues. These people are people that are role models, and if you look at it, a lot of these athletes have grown up in these types of neighborhoods where they've come from the bottom, and so they relate more to the average person.
Yesterday, Stallworth entered the no-spin zone to make his case to Bill O'Reilly.
So my beef with athletes and movie stars too, getting involved with politics, is that I think there should be a baseline of information that they should know enough about what they're talking. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. I think they should take the onus on themselves to educate themselves and to understand the topics that they are going to be disseminating with this types of information. But at the same time, you've got to be able to be honest in what you're saying, and you have to be truthful.
Sure. But Colin Kaepernick is the best example. We wanted to talk to him here, all right? But he wouldn't do it. And I thought that was foolish. Now, not just because he wouldn't hear, but he didn't go on any of the big shows, all right? He did his little press conference in the locker room, but he didn't really go out, yet he was disrespectful, and many Americans, to the vets and to the flag and to everything else. Don't you think he had a responsibility to back up his kneeling down?
Well, you know what, Bill, I don't think he was necessarily disrespectful, or at least intentionally disrespectful.
Okay, but you know others disagree with you, Donté.
Yeah.
Okay,
for sure.
All right, so you've got to respect their disagreement,
right,
their dissent.
Sure.
So that if he's going to do it, put himself in the arena like that, don't you think his obligation is to explain it as best he can?
Well, I think he did that initially when, he tried to make a silent protest. And then it was figured out later on after in the post-game conference, it was figured out that, hey, Colin wasn't standing for the national anthem. And they asked him why. And he went on to talk about a lot of the disparages that minorities and African Americans face in certain communities around this country. And he cited some of the DOJ's, some of their investigations on a number of cities across the country. But yeah, it would be good. I'd like for him to come on here and talk to you about it and explain a little more.
He has an obligation, all right, to do that because he is influencing younger people. You know, there are people who look up to Colin Kaepernick.
Right.
It's like the 6 New England Patriots who won't go to the White House, and they've been invited to celebrate their Super Bowl win. Now, they're entitled to that. I don't have a problem with it, but I'd like to know why. You're not really going to endorse Donald Trump. You're going to the nation's capital and the White House, the people's house. You're an American. This is the people's house. And you don't want to show up? Why? You know what? I agree with whatever they want to do. There was in 2011, I believe 2012, Tim Thomas, the goaltender or the hockey goalie for the Boston Bruins, decided not to go because he said that he didn't go to President Obama.
Yes,
right.
Because he said that the federal government was stripping the American people of their liberties, of their property, and things of that nature. So I feel
that he
was
more accessible. Correct me if I'm wrong. Thomas was the Bruins goalie.
Well, he just released a statement, and that was it. He didn't talk about it anymore after that.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, then he should have done the same thing. I think if you're going to be fair and you're going to dissent publicly, and I'm more interested in the kids than anybody else. I mean, anybody, with all due respect, Donté, a great football player, but anybody who says, hey, Donté Stallworth, I'm voting for who he's voting for.
Right.
If you're an adult, come on.
Yeah.
All right. But kids, they hear this stuff, particularly high school kids, and I think that these athletes and celebrities owe it to the kids to explain it as best they can. Last word.
Yeah, I think so. And at the end of the day, I believe that athletes and not just athletes, but any entertainer should have the accessibility to be able to explain these because they're going to use their platform for that reason.
That's right. But, good. So you and I agree.
Yeah.
Right on. That's an old 60s expression. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Bill.